911, what's your emergency?
Help! Somebody please help me! There's an alligator attacking my neighbor, Julia Banks!
Stay on the line, help is on the way.
Is she conscious?
I don't know. She's screaming, but then she goes underwater.
It was a late summer afternoon in Florida. The sun was high, the air heavy with heat, and the water of the private lagoon lay calm, untouched. To anyone passing by, it would have looked peaceful. But beneath the surface, something ancient and unpredictable waited. That day would become a tragedy the world would never forget. Julia Banks stood barefoot on the edge of the dock. She smiled as she watched the water ripple gently. At 28 years old, she was already famous among wildlife lovers and reptile enthusiasts, not because of fancy equipment or dramatic rescues, but because of her bond with a creature most people feared. His name was Reef, a massive alligator Julia had raised from the day he hatched. She had rescued his egg from floodwaters after a storm nearly destroyed a nest. What started as a fragile little life grew into a 12-foot, 600-pound predator, but Julia never called him that. To her, Reef was family. She fed him by hand, swam with him, filmed content with him for her YouTube channel. To outsiders, it looked like a beautiful and impossible friendship, a young woman and her gator, moving together in perfect sync. Julia believed in compassion for all creatures, even the dangerous ones, maybe especially the dangerous ones. But danger has its own rules, and nature does not forget what it is. That day she slipped into the water with the ease of someone doing what they loved. She floated near the surface, the camera nearby capturing it all. Reef appeared silently beside her. His large body glided through the water. Julia whispered to him, just as she always did. Then, everything changed. Without warning, Reef lunged. His jaws snapped around Julia's arm with terrifying speed. It was the moment every expert warns about. Instinct took over. Reef began to roll, dragging her beneath the surface. The water exploded into chaos, then settled as quickly as it had erupted. Julia never resurfaced. It took only minutes for her assistant Megan to realize something was wrong. She rushed to the water, shouting Julia's name. There was no response. Within the hour, emergency teams arrived. Divers searched the murky bottom of the lagoon until they found her. Her body showed signs of blunt trauma. One arm was gone. Her ribs were fractured, but there were no defensive wounds. That meant it was quick. One moment she was swimming, the next, gone. It was not a calculated attack. It was instinct, pure and ancient. Reef was captured and removed from the property. Wildlife officials debated his fate. Many believed he should be euthanized. But Julia had written clear instructions in her will. If she died by animal, there should be no revenge. Reef was not a villain. He was simply being what he was born to be. Instead of punishment, Reef was relocated to a protected sanctuary where he would live the rest of his life in isolation. No more human contact. No more swimming videos. Just silence and water. Internet exploded with the news. Julia's death became a trending topic across social platforms. Some mourned her. Others blamed her. People debated whether she was brave or foolish, whether she pushed boundaries too far, whether anyone should ever treat wild animals like pets. But those who knew her told a deeper story. Julia wasn't chasing fame. She had dedicated her life to animal care. She studied biology. She spent years learning reptile behavior. She ran a private rescue facility out of her own home, taking in injured snakes, turtles, and lizards. She taught children not to fear what they didn't understand. Her family refused to let her memory be reduced to one tragic mistake. They opened her sanctuary to the public, turning it into a quiet place of education. The lagoon where she died was left untouched. A small plaque at its edge read, "She loved the wild and was never afraid to meet it where it lived." Months later, a documentary crew contacted her parents. They wanted to tell her story. At first, the family was unsure, but they agreed, with one request. The truth must be shown, not just the danger, not just the beauty, but the full picture. The documentary opened with Julia's last swim. Not the attack itself, but the peaceful minutes before. Julia laughing, Reef gliding beside her. Then it cut to black. The narrator's voice came softly, explaining what happened, without dramatizing it. The film moved people. It did not excuse the risk she took, but it helped them understand why she took it. She wasn't naive. She was deeply aware of what Reef could do. But she believed in a mission, a belief that respect, not fear, could connect us to the wild. After her death, reptile handling safety laws were reviewed across several states. Schools added her story to lessons on animal behavior. And most importantly, thousands of people stopped to think before buying or handling exotic pets. Her last YouTube video, recorded just days before the attack, showed her feeding Reef and talking to the camera. She said, "I know he could kill me, but I also know he hasn't. For 12 years, this animal has shown me trust. That means something. And if my story can make even one person stop fearing animals and start learning about them, then that is enough." Asterisk, that video now has over 20 million views. The comments are filled with heartbreak, admiration, and gratitude. Asterisk, in one comment, a father wrote asterisk, my daughter used to scream at the sight of a lizard. After watching your videos, she wants to become a biologist. Thank you for showing her that. Fear isn't forever. Asterisk, Julia's sanctuary now has a garden in her memory. The plants are native, and the path winds past small enclosures where turtles bask and snakes slither in peace. It is quiet there, peaceful, the kind of peace Julia herself sought in the wild places of the world. Asterisk, even Reef, in his isolated new home, became part of the story. Footage of him is rare, but when it does appear, people don't react with hate, they look at him with complexity. Some see danger, others see sorrow, but most understand that he, too, is not a villain. He is a reminder that the wild is never tame, that no amount of love can change the instincts carved into muscle and bone by millions of years, that the moment we forget this, we put ourselves at risk. But Julia never forgot. She made peace with that truth. She knew it could end this way, and still, she chose to step into the water. Again and again, not to conquer nature, not to tame it, but to meet it where it was. Asterisk, the legacy she left is not a warning. It is a challenge. To learn more before we fear, to listen more before we act, to understand that sometimes most powerful love is the one that lets wild things stay wild. Asterisk, thank you for watching Strange Teller. If this story moved you, share it, let others hear it. And if you want more stories that live between beauty and terror, remember to subscribe, because the world is strange, and so are we. Until next time, stay curious, asterisk, and stay careful.